Welcome to Tennis Spin, where we put our spin on your tennis. Today, as most of you know, throughout my history, and I'm sure your history, you had multiple rackets, but you have one favorite. How often should you restring your backup racket? Stay tuned. Guys, good morning to everybody out there. Today's coffee sponsor is Tyler J. Tyler writes, thank you for the recommendation about the stringing machine today. We love your channel. Oh, thank you so much. So Tyler came in, feels like a month ago now, and asked my recommendation for a stringing machine. And I told him, just to get a Gamma, tabletop or a stand crank machine. I started with those. I strung with those for 10 years at a shop in the 80s. Those are great starter machines if you're just going to do your own and maybe your family members. So thank you, Tyler. Hope you will watch my video and learn how to string on your own too. All right. If you want to support my coffee habit, network is buymeacoffee.com/tennis spin. Thank you all in advance, and thank you all for keeping it going. If you want to sponsor the channel or check out my merch, like this cool shirt, network is tennisspinusa.com. All right, guys. So, little different brew today. When I was over at Pete's, I noticed this new medium roast, which I never drink because I have a little, upset stomach with the little medium and light roast. It was called Zenith. So, but very, very nutty, very, very semi-bold. Hopefully my stomach doesn't kill me later. But tastes good for now. All right, Zenith is what it's called. Okay, so guys, as you guys know, when I was growing up, I had two rackets. I'm sure most of you have one or two rackets. And I felt like the first ones I ever bought that were graphite, for some reason, I've always loved the first one. Like I remember buying a Pro Staff and then buying a second one for a backup. And for some reason, I like that broken in feeling, the used feeling. It was possibly lighter. And I've always gravitated towards the original one that I bought. I remember doing that to like the Hammer 440s that I had, the Yamahas that I had. And I always, for some reason, liked the first one that I bought. I couldn't afford to buy both of them at the same time and kind of rotate them out. So in my head, that racket was lighter and it felt that way too. Therefore, that was my primary racket. I would use that racket until the strings broke, and then I would semi-begrudgingly pull out the backup. So just like, I kind of do it today too. This is my primary Clash. And as you see, it's got the confidential in it. So, but this is my primary, and I like it. I like how it feels. Whenever I look into my bag, as you guys know, I have 3 or 4 in my bag at one time. I kind of look for this one. So I pull that one out first. It just kind of feels like home, right? If and when the strings break or I'm having a bad day, will I pull out my backup? And these strings have been in here for 3 months or more. I don't even remember when I strung them last, but I've been too lazy to restring it. So my man K Malone here, right? How often should I restring my backup racket? I've never had to use it since I have to broken a string during a play. since I haven't broken a string during play, maybe you can address this in a YouTube video because your videos are great. Well, thank you, K Malone. So this is an interesting topic because if you're never going to use the backup and you're going to keep restringing the primary, I mean, I guess it would be fair to restring it. I mean, I guess it really depends on how often you play. If it's 3 months, 6 months, and if you're using a poly, those factors actually do come into play. If you're using a synthetic, like straight up multi, I would say 6 months to a year is very fair. Granted, it gets very lightly used and multis will hold tension longer. If you use a poly, probably 6 months, 7 months max, because the poly will just lose tension sitting in there. But I mean, what I would do if I were you is during practice or things that don't matter, kind of get acquainted with your backup racket. You know, say, I haven't used you in a while. Let me see if I can break you in a little bit and make you almost feel like my primary racket. You know what I mean? You're going to have to get used to it at some point, because if this string breaks, this is all you got. So I would probably, get as used to it as much as possible and hopefully get it to, where you like it almost as much as your primary. But definitely 6 months to a year, depending on use. I would probably once a year, very fair, very fair. But straight poly, probably 6 months. Okay? So, I mean, I understand. I've come into this problem all my life, too. There's always a favorite. I get it. You guys know what I'm talking about. So, but don't neglect that backup racket too much, because one day you'll need it. All right, guys, taking us out today, my new buddy from SoCal, Panorama City to be exact, RJ in the house. Take us out, buddy.
Thank you for watching Tennis Spin, where we put our spin on your tennis.